So let's film something that I haven't filmed in a hot minute, and that is going to be a palette ranking. I don't even know how many palettes I have here in front of me, but we are going to be ranking all of the palettes that I have tried so far in 2026, and it is 3 large piles in front of me. And if you've never been on one of my palette rankings before, well, if you're new on my channel, hello, my name is Angie. I love makeup, and I love colorful makeup, especially looking like a happy clown today. So most of these palettes are going to be more colorful palettes. I'm also a big lover and a big fan of indie makeup. So also most, if not almost all of these palettes are going to be from indie brands, because I love stand me a good indie palette. And also I won't be including the palette that I have released myself. I do own an indie brand, which is Singe Beauty, and we also released 2 palettes this year, the Huldra and also Succulent Dew. And those 2 palettes, of course, I'm not going to be including because, I mean, I made them. How boring would it be if I ranked, like, I don't know, 20 plus palettes and then I'm like at the top, I'll put my own palette? Like, how boring is that? Not gonna do that. On that note, I didn't film this look today because I am actually wearing literally a full face of samples. So bear with me. I have to try the things sometimes as well, but everything looks pretty nice though. Looks pretty good. I'm also not going to be ranking my bestie Heather Austin's collab palette with Odin's Eye. This one came out this year. Absolutely beautiful palette, beautiful color story. I am a lover of mattes, and Heather is a lover of super sparkle metallics. So this one is more metallic heavy, but the palette is beautiful. I've done several looks with this one. When I was moving from the US back to the EU, I did have this one with me at all times. I did not pack this one on the boat that took our stuff here. I did actually have this one with me at all times. So that tells you something. I mean, it should tell you something. I'm actually not going to be editing this one myself, and I am apologizing in advance to my editor because this is going to be a doozy. When I review my palettes, I always let you know why I'm reviewing them, where I'm reviewing them. And for this one, it is simply gonna be because it is a mainstream palette that is just neutrals. I will say there is honestly none of the palettes that I'm going to be talking about today are bad palettes. I feel like long gone are the days where we had those like 88 shade palettes from, what was it, Coastal Scents, where 65% of the shades were barely usable. They were like chalk. You could have given it to the kids and make them do hopscotch outside. This one, honestly, pretty good quality. This is the neutral one from Rare Beauty. It's called Essential Neutrals, and quite honestly, that's what this one is. The mattes in this one is probably the best quality mattes that I've seen from a like mainstream Sephora brand in a hot minute. Really, really great mattes. If you're looking for something like this, I mean, the shimmers are good too. They're just traditional good shimmers. Didn't have any problems with creasing. Mattes are actually really beautiful to work with. If you're looking for something like this and you don't want to buy from indie brands, some people do want to go into store and buy something. I don't put this in the bottom because it is bad. I put this in the bottom because it is the least inspiring one. The next one I'm gonna put, and this is actually because this palette does have a couple of duds, and because I hate the packaging with a burning passion. And this is the Bratz palette by Glamlight. I did buy this palette myself, but you can use my code Angelica with Glamlight. I'll try and remember and mention it when I'm talking about the brands, which brands my code works with. But I'm gonna be honest with you, if it is an indie brand that I enjoy, most probably you're gonna be able to use my discount code Angelica at checkout. You can always check that out. All the info about these palettes are gonna be in the description box down below. I'll put all the palettes there, if my code works or not, where you can find them, all of that thing down in the description box. So the packaging, this is like a box of chocolates, but no chocolates. It is thick. This is a thick mama. You open it up, the first layer, again, don't love it. The first layer is here, and it's one of those that has like the, do with this as you may. And then the second one is here, and it kind of like comes off, and it's like a little janky dinky. And I mean, you can see, you've got eyes. It's not great. It's not amazing. The color story, there's nothing really wrong with the color story. I do enjoy that this one has some light pastels. I love mixing pastels with dark shades, as you can probably tell by my eye look today. Honestly, the color story, there's nothing wrong with this, but there are a couple of duds in here. Some of these pastels are very, very thin, which might be why Glamlight doesn't do a lot of pastels, because they haven't like perfected that formula. But for that reason, I'm putting that at the bottom, because mainly because I really hate the packaging. The next one is going to be, and this is not my favorite type of color story. So now we're getting into like, I'm not wowed by the formula, and it's not my favorite color story, and that is from ColourPop. I do think overall with ColourPop, it is a mainstream, more affordable brand. You can either buy it at the ColourPop website, and you can use my code there, or you can buy it at Ulta. And I will say overall, I do think that you get pretty like good like bang for your buck when it comes to ColourPop. It's decent shadows, not the best ones you ever tried. This one is very gray leaning with some pinks, which isn't my absolute favorite, but again, it's not an awful palette, it's just not my favorite. And I feel the same about this one. This is honestly, I think this palette sold out, and I think most people agree that this was a great palette. This is just, again, remember how I said that I'm a matte girly? That's it. This is the Aurora Cruise by Nomad Cosmetics. This is an all shimmer palette where most of the shades are more of a traditional shimmer format, which I do really like, but I gotta be honest with you, what am I gonna do with an all shimmer palette? It's just not how I roll. I do mix and match palettes, but it's usually because I want to have different mattes from different palettes. I don't know the last time I brought out a palette because I'm like, oh, I want to use a shimmer from that palette. Sometimes I bring out a palette because I'm like, oh, I want to use the matte from that palette, but I just never feel that way when it comes to shimmer. So that is a personal preference. With that being said, again, the quality, there's nothing wrong with quality. This is great shimmers. And if you saw the swatches and you're like, wow, I really want to own that, this isn't bad. Literally, we're in preferences right now. You can use my code with Nomad too. And here comes another ColourPop palette. This is the ColourPop Under the Sea palette with My Little Mermaid. I do think that this palette is pretty much like, it makes me feel like the Little Mermaid. I know some people are like, where's the red for the hair and where's the purple for the bra? I mean, I don't really care about that, if I'm gonna be honest. There's like a little blender in here. I think it's cute. It's feeling a little Disney without making it a rainbow palette, because that's what you would have to do if you were gonna pull colors from all the shades like from the movie. I just don't love it. The color story, that is, I will say, I really like the shades in here, and I think that different formulas that they chose were really nice. This is an iridescent like purple topper, which I think is beautiful. This one is so beautiful. This is a matte with so much pink micro sparkle in it. It is beautiful. What I wish this palette had is, I wish that this one didn't have sparkles in it. One matte with sparkles is great. I don't need two. And I think that this one should have been an even darker shade, maybe a super, super dark burgundy or something that you could have deepened this whole thing up with, because it's not my favorite when it comes to color stories. I don't mind the formulas that they chose here too, although I will say this blue is one of those like a little bit more gritty, glitter infused shadows that I don't love. Is that a mosquito bite? Did I get a mosquito bite? Mosquitoes love me. What can I say? This is the Eclipse palette. Same here. I do love a red eyeshadow, and I think that the red in here, I've actually reached for this palette to dig into this one that's called New Vampires. It's like a super, super dark, grungy burgundy matte that's really, really beautiful. Awesome quality. If you like this color story, I'm sure you're gonna enjoy it. Again, they have that sparkly like blue, I don't know if you can see here, maybe in the swatches, it's like a blue sparkly topper. Really, really fun, really beautiful. If you like the cool tone color story, honestly, these probably should have switched, because I do prefer this color story over this one. Again, it's not my absolute favorite color story, and like I said, ColourPop, they have great shadows, but usually all of their palettes have a couple of weak ones in there, but they're also fairly affordable. Now we are getting into a palette that is purely because of preferences, and the quality is stunning, and I love this brand, and I really enjoyed this creator as well, but the color story of this one just isn't for me. I love a monochromatic moment, but for me, the Pinky Promise by Bella Butebar and Deandra Nicole, it is just a little bit too mid-tone for me. It is, for me, when it's swatched out on my skin tone, some of these are very similar to each other. I know it might be different if you have very fair skin or like more deeper skin. Again, the creator that did this collab has a deeper skin tone. On my skin tone, some of these do look very similar and they do lean all pretty mid-tone on me. So I just wish that I could have a little bit more of difference in warmth, depth, contrast, for it to be a perfect monochromatic palette for me. But again, I didn't make it, and the creator, for her, this is her favorite pink palette. I'm just saying, if you like the same things as me, you might feel the same about this. It's just a preference thing. Now we're getting into an all matte palette, and I do actually love an all matte palette. I am a big fan of an all matte palette. This is the Nomad Coastal Cruise palette. This one is just a little muted. If you didn't know, my least favorite eyeshadow color to work with is grays. It's not that I don't like grays on me, I just don't think they're fun. I don't think they're fun to wear. I don't think they're fun to work with. And when it comes to colorful shades, my least favorite colorful shades are the ones like this that have almost like a little of a gray undertone in them. With that being said, I know that especially with Nomad's customers, their most favorite or most like best-selling palettes ever are the ones that have that gray leaning tone on them. So I'm sure that the Nomad customers went absolutely bonkers over this. For me, I need something that is a little more, I don't even want to say vibrant, but just doesn't have this like gray cast on it. Personal preference. Again, I know there are some that are listening to this and you're like, what are you talking about? That is exactly what I want. And if that is what you want, this might be for you. Now we're getting into a palette that is almost an all shimmer palette. And like I said, I'm not a lover of all shimmer palettes. With that being said, this does have really good quality shimmers. And this is the Chrome Pressed Pigment Volume 3 from Dayday Signature. Really enjoy Dayday Signature. We're going to talk more about them in a bit. But this one does have 3 mattes down here, and I really enjoy the 3 mattes that are down here. I also really enjoy quite a few of these shimmers. This one, this one, this one, this one. These up here, absolutely beautiful. These like duo ones, you can mix them or you can use half of them. So there's actually even more shades in here that you can use. But for me, a shimmer heavy palette like this is just never going to be a favorite for me. But I do know that there are people out there that literally are salivating when they see a shimmer heavy or an all shimmer palette, because that's what they love. Just preferences. Some of you are going to be very surprised when you see this, because this brand is one of my absolute favorite indie brands, and they are usually on top. They have had my favorite palette of the year, because every year I do a big ranking where I say like, this is my favorite palette of the year. And this brand has had my favorite palette of the year several years. I think like 2 or 3 years. But this isn't my absolute favorite from the brand. This is the Angelica palette from Cosmic Beauty. For me, this is a little bit too mid-tone for me personally. I also don't love these shimmers with these mattes. I wish there was more contrast between these two. I wish there was more contrast between these two. It is just, again, a personal preference of how I like to do my makeup. And I do know, and I myself will always say this, I think it's very important as a brand owner to do different kinds of palettes for different kinds of customers. Because if you keep doing the same kind of palette, but just in a slightly different color variation again and again and again, it doesn't always work out for the best. So I know there are going to be people that look at this and they're like, this is perfect. I don't want pastels and I don't want something that is like too dark. One deep shade is enough for me. For me, one deep shade, I mean, this one is pretty deep too. It's not enough for me. It kind of depends, but most of all, I'm looking for more contrast. I'm looking for more contrast than this. And they have another palette, I think it's called the Gothic palette. That's also one of these, what is this, like 12 pan palette? Love it. Absolutely blown away. Love it. Is that a spider? I love that. It's just not my favorite. Don't hate it, not bad quality. It's just this color story doesn't inspire me as much as most palettes from Cosmic Beauty actually does. I know some people might be surprised by this, because usually I think everything that this brand touches just is amazing. This one is just more of a mid for me. Here we have Simply Posh Cosmetics, and this is the Strawberry Picnic palette. This one, I don't mind this color story at all. It's a green and a red. I'm just not super blown away. I think that this brand sometimes they get it so right and I'm so inspired by their color stories, and sometimes I just feel like they didn't punch it enough. Like there's not enough contrast between some of the shades end up being a little similar because it's almost like we're trying to make the shades go together so well in the pan that it almost turns a little uninspiring with some of the shades being so like similar to each other, because once they're swatched out, once they're on the skin, once you start blending it, is it really that different from each other? Will say though, shimmers are absolutely beautiful. I don't know. I just want a little bit more from this color story. I do really enjoy the brand though, and they have made a color story that I have here somewhere we're going to talk about a bit that I really enjoy. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Here we have the first Gourmand Girls palette, and this is the Bleeding Hearts palette. This one is, I think this was their Valentine's palette, if I'm not totally mistaken. This one has a little bit too many cool tones to be a favorite of mine. I do love a pink and a red together. I think that's absolutely beautiful. The only reason why this one is here, it has a couple of more grays than I prefer, and also these two shades are a little bit more hard pressed than I prefer in a shimmer. I don't want them, I don't like shimmers or like shimmer formula that is that super emollient, swatches beautifully but creases pretty quickly. I don't want that in my shimmers at all. If you didn't know, I do have pretty hooded eyes, and I prefer a formula that doesn't look too textured or flaky on the eyes, that doesn't crease too quickly. And while I appreciate that there are two shades here that are more like a classic shimmer, I do think that these are a little bit too hard pressed, but I do love Gourmand Girls, and I will always love a pink and red combo. It is just beautiful. Okay, pile number 2. I can't believe how many palettes I have. This is gonna be WhatsApp Beauty. And if you want to try indie brands and you want to get more like, you know, interesting like shimmer shades, because they do really good interesting shimmer shades, but you also am worried that things are going to crease on you, I will say these shades do not crease on me. And you're more into slightly neutral leaning mattes, you don't want to have like crazy colored mattes, WhatsApp Beauty does have really good palettes for you. Beautiful packaging as well. This one is this one called actually Skyfire palette. This is actually my favorite from the brand. Personally, I would of course have loved a little bit more interesting mattes from the brand, but I also know that this isn't what the brand usually does, and I do think that this palette is actually absolutely stunning. It is just not a perfect color combo for me, but for me, this is my favorite from the brand so far. Really matches with like what I have going on today. Stunning. Then we have a neutral palette. Again, neutral palette isn't always my favorite, but this one, the Old Soul from Glaminatrix, is a beautiful neutral palette. It has some browns, some mauve tones, some more like warm shimmers, and some cool tone shimmers. They're just absolutely stunning. Very impressed with this palette. I think it's beautiful. Love what I've done with this palette. It is the same beautiful Glaminatrix quality that I know and love, and I just think this palette is stunning. If you're looking for a neutral palette, I really think that one is really stunning and impactful and has a little bit more of an inspiring color story. Then we have another monochromatic palette. This one I prefer a little bit more simply because this is the Unearthly Made a Monster palette. I think this one was for Valentine's Day too, but this one has a little bit more of a variety when it comes to the undertones. There is a coral, there is more of a burgundy purple, there is a purple here as well. There is one that's like almost like a charcoal with holographic shimmers in here. There's like a topper. There's a little bit of a different thing going on here so that you can go in a different direction. Again, I do love a monochromatic palette, but I needed to have something. I think my preferred is a monochromatic palette with a twist. I think that is my preferred one. With that being said, I love a good pink eyeshadow moment, but I also, did I need this many pink eyeshadow? I don't know. What is your favorite eyeshadow color to wear? Mine has for always, forever been blue, but lately I think yellow is taking over. Let me know what you think. Now we're getting into another all matte palette, and this is Arc of Color from Bella Beauty Bar, and this is the one they came out with kind of recently. It is a big, very interesting undertones kind of a rainbow palette. If you do not own a rainbow palette and you want to get into colorful makeup, I definitely recommend owning a rainbow palette. And this one does have a lot of very interesting undertones. There are some more neon colors here. There are muted together with really bright ones. It goes from really light to really dark. And if you are looking for a rainbow, this one is a nice one. But it is very heavy and very large, and that isn't always my favorite preferred format when it comes to eyeshadows. With that being said though, I think is there any duds in this palette? I don't even know if there's a dud in this palette. I think the quality is absolutely beautiful. I love this packaging. I think this packaging is so fun, and this is from Blend Bunny, and this is the Diablo palette. This is like a squishy palette. So cute. So this one, like I said, I really love a red and pink. These blues and this kind of like undertone of the pink and the blues here is probably my least favorite undertone of pinks and blues. That's why this one is lower. It's that almost like muted. It's been laying out in the sun for a bit, which again, looks beautiful, but not my favorite type of blues and pinks. There are so many great palettes here. Listen, you have to rank them on something, because I'm gonna be honest with you, we're still a long way to go, and all of these palettes are so beautiful. This one though, fantastic quality. This together with another Blend Bunny palette that we're gonna talk about in quite some time, best shimmer formula that they've ever had. Beautiful shimmer formula. Here is another Simply Posh palette. This is Lavender Fields. I really like this packaging. It's almost like expensive paper, and they took shades in here that they could find in lavender field, both the flowers and the field itself. This one I would have wanted, again, it's feeling a little mid-tone. This is so beautiful though. Like the quality is stunning. It just feels a little mid-tone to me. There is one lighter shade and these two are darker and they're a little bit similar to each other. I think I'm just looking for more contrast. Let me know, is that something that you like think about when you buy eyeshadow palettes? Because I also know that a lot of people, like when I do eyeshadows, I try to not use too many shades in a look, because sometimes I want to base my look around a few different shadows. But even like a look like this, I'm still using 3 mattes. So I needed to be 3 mattes that work together, but also have a difference between them. If they're too similar to each other, I could have just used one of them. And I think that that's why I'm looking for a contrast in a palette. Apparition palette, I think, was this, when did this one come out? This springtime sometime? This is another Gourmand Girls palette. Love the color story of this one. I love pastels. Absolutely obsessed with pastels. Big favorite. And I also love that there's some really deep, some really light. What I will say about this one, the reason why it's not on top is because 1 or 2 of these pastels are a little bit on the thinner side. Not that you can't use them. Some of them are, like I would say most of the pastels in this palette, beautiful, thick, wonderful quality. A couple of them a little bit thinner. Again, there's so many palettes and they're all so beautiful. You gotta rank them on something. Same with this one. This is the, I think it's Floresta Inferno. I might be saying that incorrectly. It's from Ladybug Glow. It is the first palette I own from the brand. Really beautiful color story. Stunning, stunning shades. The mattes are so thick and they have so much substance. They're so easy to work with. Blown away. I will say, I think it's this one and maybe one more shimmer. Now I don't remember, but definitely this one felt very dry and almost a little crumbly. So again, love the rest of the palette. I don't love this shade here. The rest, absolutely stunning. But again, you gotta do it on something, okay? You can also find this one on Gourmand Girls website, and my code Angelica works on it. You can also buy it, I think, on their Etsy store. Again, like I said, I think most of these indie brands you can use code Angelica on. Here comes a Nomad palette where I think the color story is so different and fun. And here I can find so many things that I like. And this is the Paris La Bohème. I feel like this was this their Valentine palette? I'm not 100% sure, but look at this. Blues. There are some like almost grungy greens with this beautiful, like you see the multichrome, the green going to the warm, like almost a coppery gold. Stunning. Pinks, dark purple. There's this duochrome blue to purple. Stunning. There's a really light shade. There's really dark shades. This palette has a lot of things that I really love. You can go in different directions, but the things also really work together. I really love this color story. I really love this quality. I think they did a great job on this one. Here comes another Nomad. And again, when it comes to these two, honestly, I think I like them similarly, but you gotta rank them somehow. And this is the Greek Odyssey palette. And this one, blues. blues, and I love that this one has half shimmer, half matte, and there is a white here because that gives you the opportunity to mix it in with the other colors and just give you that beautiful, wonderful like contrast, and you can blend it and make it pastels. Absolutely love it. Love this shimmer here. It's like a gold going to like a pinky peach. Hopefully you saw it in the swatches. There is a multi-chrome down here as well. As you can see here, mine has leaked a little bit like oil into the paper. I will say none of these did crease on me. I worn it, so I didn't have any problem with creasing, but I just want to let you know that you're correct. Your eyes do not deceive you. There was a little bit of leakage going on. Here's another palette where I'm like, is this a neutral palette? Is this like an in-between? I would love to hear your thoughts. And this is the Moonlight Muse palette by Artitude Cosmetics. They make amazing eyeshadows. And for me, again, it has matte white. Absolutely love it. There are colorful shades in here, but it's almost like a neutrals meets berries, somewhere in mid-country where they meet. I love the contrast of this one. The shimmers are really impactful. Some of them did have that formula that crease a little bit on me, but overall I think this is a beautiful palette, and I feel like Artitude has done something like this before. Not this color story, but the kind of palette where you look at it and you're like, is this a neutral palette? Is this a colorful palette? And I really enjoy when brands do that because it gives you a lot of like versatility. Here comes, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Here comes a Fantasy Cosmetica palette, and this is the Cleric palette. This is the 9-pan palette that they came out with. When did this come? This came out just as I was moving, because I remember getting this when I was actually in Sweden for a little bit. Now I'm in Italy. So this is a 9-pan, it has a matte white. Listen, love a matte white in a palette, but I really like the mattes in this palette, and I really like the shimmers. They go so well together, and it's like a cool toned, muted but not grayscale leaning with a pop of a little warmth, and then that white shade. There's something about this 9-pan palette. I think it's so inspiring. I think it's so beautiful, and I think Fantasy Cosmetica, the owner Jordan, has this eye for interesting color combos, and she has this eye for bringing smaller palettes together like 9-pans where you can do so many different color combos. I just think this one is absolutely beautiful. Did an absolutely great job. Here comes an Una's Eye palette. First time I saw this one, it's called Luminous Shadow palette. First time I saw this one, I was like, I don't know about this one. It looks a little neutral, but there are so many purples in here, and then the orange and the coral. I just really enjoyed this color story more than I thought I would. Again, this is also one of those palettes when you look at it initially, you're like, I don't know about this one, but there are deep shades, there are light shades, and the shimmers are really interesting. If I'm not totally mistaken, I think this one that's called Stardew is the one that has a little bit more of a squishy formula, which isn't my favorite. I know there are people out there that love those kind of formulas. Not my personal absolute favorite, but one thing that I really love about Una's Eye, when they do their palettes, they always include different kinds of shimmer formulas. There's usually like traditional shimmers, a multi-chrome, maybe a topper, maybe a duochrome, maybe like something sparkly, maybe something smoother. So there's always different formulations which make their palette very like interesting to me. I really love this color story, and this is the Down to Earth by Simply Posh. I think this one came out last year, but it took me a really long time to try it. I don't even remember why. I think it came out when I was just traveling or something. Beautiful. I think I didn't try this for the first time until Christmas, and it is so beautiful. It is almost like, well, it is like a palm leaf, but it's almost like a tropical feel. I don't even know if they still have this on the website. It is just so stunning, and this one has a little bit more of contrast in here. The light shades I think are contrasty enough, but I do wish that maybe one of these had been even darker. I also really love the shimmers in this one. I think they're so fun and so different. I think they did a great job with this one. I just wish that, again, something would have just a little bit more contrast. Is that one still available? Because like I said, that one, I got that one a long time ago, but I love that color story. Let me double check. The latest palette is the Strawberry Picnic palette. How do I shop palettes? Ooh. So, and they have the black cherry as well. Should I have included that here? Did I already talk about that? Maybe that one should have been here as well. I'm not, oh, Down to Earth is available and it's on sale. Ooh, so yeah, I like that one. The black cherry, did I include that? I like that one too. That one is also on sale. But I'm saying, right now from the palettes that they have available, I prefer this one. Next one is gonna be the only all shimmer palette that I am gonna put this high, and the only reason I'm doing this is because this is the palette that I reached in for to get a shadow, because I am so impressed with the quality of the Nomad Electric Carnival. This is an all special shade palette and the price does reflect that, but you can use my code with Nomad Cosmetics and get a little bit of money off. But what I will say, immediately when I swatched the shadows, when I felt them, they have that smoothness that makes them both swatch beautifully and also wear beautifully. These do not crease on me. The closest that I will say is how they feel is Cleonut. And I think Cleonut makes extremely high quality eyeshadows. And I think this one is one of the most high quality all shimmer palettes that I have seen in a long while. And I think they did a great job on this one. So if you are looking for special shades in a palette, I would say go for this one. Here is another Glaminatrix. This is the Silent but Deadly. Yes, this is fart inspired. Do with that as you will. This is actually their like April's Fool's joke palette for this year, but like, you know, made it happen. Last year they had the poop palette, which was an amazing color story, believe it or not. And this year we're doing farts. Listen, this is what we're doing. Really love this color story. Again, I'm loving, there's so much contrast in here and I'm loving how these shades go together. You can use these together with each other. They match over like this as well. The shimmers are beautiful. This one looks so beautiful here, but it also works so well together with this green here. Absolutely stunning. Really enjoy this color story. Again, just like I said with the Fantasy Cosmetica palette, this one has a color story where you can do a monochromatic look and just wear the row down. Quality is beautiful, but you can also mix and match with each other. They are very well thought out so that the shades match together if you prefer to not do a monochromatic look. Okay, we are in the last pile, which is top 9, which is a little bit anticlimactic because I mean, it could have been top 10, but that was the last palette. That was the last palette. So on the 9th spot, we have Lethal Cosmetics, what is actually called Black Spring. This one came out as I was in Sweden and I love this color story. Lethal Cosmetics did change their formula a while back, and me personally, I prefer this formula over their last one. The last formula they had was nice. It was a good formula, but I love the new matte formula they have. Their mattes were all never bad, but I like this formula way better. The shimmers, some of them are a little bit more on the flaky side. I have not yet had any problems with any of them creasing on me, but I just really like the matte formula now. And I love this color story. It is like a bright spring and then it's almost like a moody, murky, you know, when the snow disappears and there's just like this muck underneath and then spring comes along. I really like this color story. Again, I love contrast, not only between dark and light, but also between murky and bright, between pastels and dark shades, jewel tones, and like, I like when things clash a little bit. If it becomes a little bit too samey, it might be pleasing on the eye, but it just, for me, feels just a smidgen stale, if I'm gonna be honest. This is the first palette from Epic Beauty, which is the brand by Monolith, which is based in Europe. Well, technically, I was gonna say based in the EU. They have a warehouse in Germany, so if you are buying from Monolith and you live in the EU, they will ship it out of Germany and you won't have to pay any additional like tariffs and taxes. But technically, they are in Switzerland, which I'm sure have like a trade agreement with the EU anyways. But this is their first palette, and this is Jewels of Eternity. And if you like jewel tone shadows, this might be for you. These have bigger pans and probably have a lot of product, quite honestly. 22 grams, which is quite a lot of product. This is a little bit more on a, I don't want to say it's shimmer heavy, but I definitely do think there are more shimmers than mattes in here. This is a little bit more on the expensive side because a lot of these shimmers are a little more special shades. As you can see, they're also magnetic, if that is something that works for you. It also makes the palette kind of heavy, but these shades are really beautiful. The matte formula is stunning. The shimmer formula is that special, very impressive formula that sometimes if you have a little bit of an texture or fine lines on your eyes. It might look a little textured and sometimes it might crease on you. You just have to baby it a little bit, but I can't deny that they did an amazing job with their first palette. The color story is so inspiring, and I have actually reached into this palette several times while doing other looks to reach for some of these mattes to complement my look, because I think they did such a good job. And my code Angelica also works at Monolith actually, but not immediately as they do a new drop. Usually the code works a couple of days later, but if you are shopping at Monolith, do try my code and see if you can get some money off at checkout. Then we have the SpongeBob palette by Lunar Cosmetics. They came out with this one, was it earlier this winter time? Look at how bright and fun this is. It makes me so happy. I love a bright, colorful shadow moment. Love the undertone, love the undertone, love the undertone, love all of this. Toppers, there are special shades, there are traditional shimmers. So impressed with this. I just think it's such a fun color story, and it's so inspiring. Such an inspiring color story. I am blown away. As I'm filming this, I am yet to receive my Korra, Legends of Korra collection. That one is coming in real soon. Those palettes look so incredible. The color story is so inspiring. It just makes me super happy. And if they're as great quality as these were, absolutely blown away. This is going to be my favorite Gourmand Girls palette of this year so far, and this is the Summer Ween palette. I think this one is so beautiful. If, again, you're looking for something bright for summer, these are some really impactful, almost like neon pastels together with some dark shades. Shimmers are so gorgeous and interesting. This one, I use this more as a topper shade. It's a little bit more hard pressed than the other ones, but again, it's super beautiful on. I do have a, is it like a, yeah, I have like a trying new makeup where I'm doing a look with this one, and I just absolutely was blown away by this look. I think the mattes in here are the star of the show, and I'm just so impressed, not only by this color story, but just how this one performs and how it wore. Love this one. This one feels like it was ages ago, but actually it wasn't that long ago, and this is the Dead Roses by Bella Beauté Bar. This is such a good cover, by the way. I actually started following this artist on Instagram because I think they did such a good job with this cover. Such a beautiful cover. And this one, I was trying to look if I could find the name of the artist here. I can't, but like absolutely stunning. This one is a 16 pan shadow, which I love a good 16 pan. And it's like this beautiful, again, almost neutral, but is it neutral? Because there is some like dark grungy burgundies. There's a pop of like almost marker yellow. Loving the shimmers in here. I will say a couple of these did have that kind of formula that creased a little bit on me, but overall, this is probably as like cool toned as I would want to go. There's a like a low pop, but I don't need more than that. Okay, I'm perfectly fine with this being enough. But I just love mucky shades like this, and then with these like slightly brighter shades, I really like this one. I think they did an absolutely stunning job with this one. Okay, top four, and number 4 is going to be the new Wooden's Eye palette. This is the Mystic Gleam palette. First of all, I really like the packaging. Stunning. It's a matte, soft matte packaging with this like metallic. Absolutely love it. This is such a beautiful color story. I mean, it's got contrast, it's got dark shades, it's got bright shades, it's got a pop of purple, it's got light shades. There's an almost white here. Is anybody sensing a theme? I don't even know what's going on, but I think this is beautiful. This has all of the all the markers of becoming an absolute favorite palette in my collection. Really, really like this one. I think it's beautiful. I think they did such a great job. And again, with the shimmers, there are some really different formulas in here. I think this one is the one that's a little bit more of a slightly squishy formula, but again, nothing unworkable. Again, I do really like that they put different formulas in a palette. So if you have a favorite or a least favorite, at least that's not the entirety of the palette. Basically, you get variation. I love good variation. I want variation in colors, in depth, in like contrast. I want variation in whether or not they're warm and cool, and I want variation in formula. Please and thank you. Here comes a Day Day Signature palette. They make such great palettes, and this is their Valentine's palette. It is called Sweethearts and Secrets, and look at how bright and fun this is. Day Day makes an amazing like formula and an amazing, she has such a way with like color stories, because again, we have the slightly like Valentine's lovey-dovey with the pink and the purple and the red up here, and then there's this bright, super metallic, almost like a pinky peachy coral here that's like a little bit of a duochrome, then all of a sudden orange, and then this super vibrant, I don't even know what to call this, like Tokyo at night green. If you've ever seen like the neon lights in Tokyo at night, it's just giving this kind of like brightness. I just think this color story is absolutely stunning. There's some dark shades, there's some mid shades, there's some more brighter shades, there's some more muted shades, cool tones, warm tones. Her color mixtures are always absolutely top notch. I'm so impressed with this brand. Same here. You can use my code with Day Day Signature as well, and you can use my code with the next two palettes as well. I told you when I got this palette how impressed I was. This is the Psilocybin by Nomad Cosmetics. Did I need these cool tone rose? No, but you know what, I'm gonna let it slide, because whatever's going on here is making me so happy and so inspired. This again is the same formula as in the Diabla palette. Shimmers are the best shimmers that they have ever made. I do think that at some point Blend Bunny did change up, either change their matte formula or change manufacturer, because I don't feel like the matte formula is exactly the same kind of grip to it as they did have with like the Primal palette or the old All Done Up palette. But I do hope that with time we're able to get that like extra smidgen of grip back. With that being said, it's still number 2. Clearly I love this palette. Clearly I think it's great. And there's something about the undertones and the colors here, the like really bright going to this almost like a muted grass green, super bright going to this like muted. The color story, I mean, again, I didn't need that. I'm perfectly fine without that. I understand who it's for. But the color story and the way that like you have this green row and then you have this like purple blue topper, which goes but also doesn't go at all. A genius is at work. Absolutely love this color story. So inspiring, really stunning. Do you know what's number 1? This is a brand that has been number 1 in some of my rankings before, and I don't know the last time I was this inspired by getting a palette in my hands and being like, wow, this is making me so happy. This is making me want to play. This is making me feel like the makeup community in 2015. Where everything was just bright and fun and there were no rules and nobody was talking about clean girl makeup or what is flattering or are you a modest spring or a bright autumn. Who cares? We're just here to have a fun time. So this is the Cosmic Cold palette. This is a collaboration between Fantasy Cosmetica and Multichromatica. And honestly, what's not to love? You guys, what's not to love? Dark shades, bright shades, light shades, toppers, multichromes, duochromes, metallics, this yellow with a green, like it's a yellow metallic with a duochrome light green flip. Everything in this palette again just goes together in such a beautiful way. So many of these shades can be mixed together or matched together. You don't have to, I mean, honestly, going in a row might not even always work out, but you might look at this first, and that's how I thought first. When I saw this, I'm like, oh, that's very chaotic. And then the more I look at it, I'm like, no, there is a sea of possibilities in here, and I absolutely am smitten by this palette. I think it's so beautiful. This is definitely going to be in the top for the year as well. I just don't see how many more palettes are going to be. I would be so surprised if this is not top 5 of the year. Like, look at this. Look at how beautiful this is. Fairly sure that this is one that's still available. If you are into colorful makeup, if you are wanting to just have an injection of something fun and colorful in your life, could not recommend this enough. I think they did an absolutely amazing job And way to just think outside the box and not go with what's popular right now or what you see that other brands are selling, and just going your own way and creating this absolute happy pill. Love it, love it, love it. You did a great job. I'm so impressed with that palette. I think it's awesome. Let me know which are your favorite palettes that you have tried as of late. Again, not including my own palettes, because clearly I love my own palettes, and I will have more things coming with Sinch this year as well, and I can't wait to show you what it is. I remember I told you in a recent video, I'm like, oh, we're gonna have a launch in August. My lab has been having a lot of delays, so I don't know if that's possible anymore, but we will have at least one more launch this year. I promise you that. Let me know which one is your favorite. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I will see you soon in a new video.